Hey guys, Red Dingbat here, and we are starting a new series again because you know how I love starting new Minecraft series. Series is. Oh well, this is a 1.18.1 hardcore Minecraft, right? Because I do want to get better at hardcore Minecraft. So, and this is our spawn. I haven't moved a single thing, okay? So we've got a jungle over there, as you can see with the bamboo. Okay, we've got, I think this is a swamp behind me. Okay, so first things first. Ooh, hey guys. Post video back editing back here. The audio of 1.18 Hardcore Minecraft Part 1 and 1.18 Hardcore Minecraft Part 2 both got absolutely corrupted beyond belief. And this is all I could salvage from both of them is the 46 seconds at the beginning. So for the first two parts, as you watch me try and calmly and carefully go about my business, I am going to be reading to you some SCPs because I like doing that, and apparently some of you guys did too. Okay. We are on to SCP-004. Okay. This is the 12 rusty keys and the door. Okay. Object class Euclid. When handling items SCP-004-2 through 004-13, proper procedure is vital. The items are not permitted to be moved off-site unless accompanied by 2 Level 4 security personnel. Under no circumstances should any other component of SCP-004 be taken through SCP-004-1. The effects of doing so are as yet unknown, and the current cost of experimentation makes further research impractical. Should any of the objects contained within SCP-004-1 breach containment, or the facility be breached, the keys must be brought inside and the door closed prior to the activation of Site-62's on-site warhead. Unauthorized removal of the keys from testing area is grounds for immediate termination. Level 1 clearance is required for basic access to SCP-004-1. Level 4 clearance is required for use of SCP-004-2 to 13. Description: SCP-004 consists of an old wooden barn door, SCP-004-1, and a set of 12 rusted steel keys, SCP-004-2 through 004-13. The door itself is at the entrance to an abandoned factory in Data Expunged. So essentially we have an anomalous door that is for some reason anomalous, and a bunch of keys that for some reason are anomalous. And there are a bunch of objects or things contained within behind the anomalous door. We don't know what is behind it or anything else, but we're going to get into that now. So, the chronological history. Let me just quickly go down a bit. Okay. So, this is obviously American, so therefore the month comes first, then the date, then the year, because Americans are American. So, 07/02/1949. 1949. A group of 3 juveniles trespassing on federal property near blank find the door. According to their testimony, they found a set of rusted keys in an iron lockbox and determined what door the keys unlocked. The juveniles are taken into custody after they contact Sheriff Blank. When one of their friends, SCP-004-Case 01, goes missing. The next day, which is 07/03/1949. Local authorities find the severed right hand of SCP-004-CAS-1. So Cass must be his name or something. 8 kilometers from 04-1. Other parts of SCP-004-Case 01's body are found scattered as far as 32 kilometers away from the factory. Under interrogation, the apprehended juveniles tell authorities that upon opening the door with one of the keys, SCP-004-Case 01 was torn into several pieces, each of which then disappeared. At this point, the SCP Foundation takes over the investigation. 0704 1949. SCP Agent Blank obtains the keys from the local authorities to begin testing. Tests show that SCP-004-2 through 0413 all fit into a single lock on the large barred door. 12 Class D personnel are assigned to test the effects of the door. Of the 12 subjects, each trying a different key to enter the room, only 2 survive. Opening the door with any key except 04-7 or 04-12 caused the test subject to be torn apart in multiple directions. However, no dismembered parts were found until later. At the beginning of writing, only 2 parts of each subject have been recovered, with the exception of using SCP-004-blank, whose pieces were scattered in close proximity. The others have, for all intents and purposes, vanished from existence. Of the 2 surviving subjects, only one, having used 04-7, returned unharmed. The other came back in a near catatonic state, having able only to remove himself from the room and then collapse on the floor, and had to be restrained to prevent him from gouging out his eyes. See Appendix A, Mental Health Effects of SCP-004. The subject using SCP-004-7 said that he had entered a large room, impossibly big for the size of the attached building. After he exited, SCP-004-1 was propped open and an armed squad of level 3 personnel entered. The size of the room is impossible to measure, and the door frame and the individuals in the room were the only part of the room that can be felt or illuminated. Okay, let me redo that last bit because I think I lost a bit of that context because of my trying to read it. Okay, so the subject using SCP-004-7 said that he had entered a large room, impossibly big for the size of the attached building. After his exit, SCP-004-1 was propped open and an armed squad of level 3 personnel entered. The size of the room is impossible to measure, and the door frame and the individuals in the room are the only part of the room that can be felt or illuminated. That's actually quite cool. Okay. So, 07/16, 1949. The juvenile suspects and Sheriff Blank are terminated. Especially the early SCP, but the SCP in general don't mess about. 08/02, 1949. Blank is declared a hazardous area due to unexploded ordnance and fences erected in order to prevent civilian ingress. Tests to determine safety of exposure to environment behind SCP-004-1 begin. So, 12/01, 1950. So this is December 1st, the next year. Space-time anomalies resulting from exposure to SCP-004 are confirmed. Testing suspended until further notice. 070219 blank. The unaccounted for remains of SCP-004-Case 1 appear inexplicably outside SCP-004-1. Despite being killed decades before, the remains of SCP-004-Case 1 are not decomposed in any manner and are still warm to the touch. Blood remains uncoagulated. The remains are remanded for testing. 070419 blank. The unaccounted for remains of one of the 12 original test subjects appear in a similar manner to those of SCP-004-Case 01. The remains have been designated SCP-004-Case 02. Records suggest that both Case 1 and Case 2 used SCP-004-blank. So essentially they use the same key, so therefore the effects on their body are the same. Hold on 1 second. 0321 1999. With the massive proliferation of nuclear weapons and World War II only blank years away, construction had begun on a site inside of SCP-004-01. This site is to stop. Oh, sorry, hold on. That one went completely wrong. With massive proliferation of nuclear weapons and World War III only blank years away, construction began on a site inside SCP-004-1. This site is to stock weapons for blank person days. Okay. I don't know what that means. Essentially, the site is to stock supplies for a certain amount of people for a certain amount of days. Okay. But we don't know what each of them are. Okay. 0421 1999. Blank has ordered the site inside of SCP-004-1 to be expanded to include emergency storage for all mobile SCP blank specimens and a blank petabyte database for the storage of all SCP data. The facility is now referred to as Site 62. 09/25/2000. Site 62 is operational. Labs and containment units are complete and can contain the most dangerous of specimens. Backups of the SCP database has begun. 01/25/2001. Due to time anomalies, see time-space anomalies below, all personnel working at Site 62 are now required to reside on site permanently. Families of personnel are to be informed that loved ones perished in an industrial accident. Cloned bodies have been prepared for funeral. 08/14/2003. Massive power outages across the northeast United States and through Canada. Due to the initial failure of multiple SCP generators, SCP-62 goes without power for 53 minutes. During those 53 minutes, those on site were completely without any source of light. They reported sensing creatures and people, although no abnormal entities could be seen or felt. Selected facility personnel are allowed to read blank Appendix A and said the creatures were of humanoid size but otherwise similar to the massive green creature described. Now, so that is the timeline of this SCP. So they essentially found the door. They found that one of the keys actually opened the door and allowed them inside, and they built a entire facility inside of it. And now people are living inside of SCP-004. So now we're on to the final stretch. Space-time anomalies. SCP-004 seems to propagate Spatio-temporal anomalies. Personnel leaving the facility report losing time. Those who have been in the site for weeks insist they have only been in the facility for several days, and records of work completed and supplies consumed support their claims. Other temporal anomalies involve SCP-004-2 through 13, especially the reappearance of SCP-004, Case 1 and Case 2, exactly blank years after using SCP-004-blank. Blank has been assigned to investigate all aspects of these time anomalies. Spatial anomalies include the impossibly large dimensions of the area opened by using SCP-004-7. Similarly, in 2003, Blackout Incident suggests that there exists an alternative plane of existence within the same space that Site-62 occupies. Additional note: testing on SCP-004 reveals that 10 of the keys open 004-1 on a dimension where the laws of physics and topology are significantly different than those of our home dimension. Test subjects meeting these hostile conditions are torn apart, their body parts disposed in various locations, only 3 of which have been verified to be on Earth. Material deposited at 2 of these points appear immediately. Material deposited at the 3rd point appears exactly blank years in the future. The other 7 locations are currently unknown. The current testing focuses on 2 avenues of research. The first is finding ways to survive 004's hostile topologies. The second, data expunged, suggests that SCP-002 through 13 may open doors other than SCP-004-1. Appendix A. Mental health effects of 04-12. All Class D personnel using SCP-004-12 return in a catatonic state, unable to speak. Some may have enough energy to try and claw out their eyes. Of the 16 subjects, only 4 have survived. Only 1 has regained speech, following long-term psychotherapy. He was able to tell the psychiatrist that he saw a massive green creature, so large that much of its body extended beyond his field of view. He reported innate fear and sudden recognition, as if it was something buried deep in his primal fears, and forced implantation of incomprehensible memories. Subject displays acute anterograde and retrograde amnesia. Appendix B. Additional information. Item SCP-004-14. Date of discovery 09/02/1950. Origin of object. Object was discovered elsewhere in factory area, in the previously undiscovered manager's office. Description: object appears as a large, unvarnished wooden box. The box may be unlocked by using the safe key SCP-004-7, as well as 5 of the unsafe keys. See document above. Upon unlocking SCP-004-14 with 04-7, the box opens automatically on its hinges. The volume of the space inside is precisely 5 times greater than the outer dimensions imply. Items placed within the lid remain open. While the lid remains open, do not affect the weight or any other properties of the box. When the lid is closed and locked, however, all items inside vanish irretrievably. Personnel locked inside the box are also irretrievable, although losing personnel in this fashion appears to affect significantly the dreams experienced by blank. So there is SCP-004. A weird giant room that can be opened by multiple locks and goes to multiple different dimensions. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because why not? It's free. And anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode. But until then, bye.